So, hi everyone, welcome to this expert interview with Natalie Tolhopf, who I'm super excited to have here in the group today, talking all about failure and fucking up, bouncing back, and thriving in business. So, I hope you can all see and hear us okay. If you can't, just let us know. Say hi in the comments and welcome, Natalie.
Yay! Thanks so much for asking me. As soon as you messaged, I was like, it's a no-brainer. I'm coming on to your show. How cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. So can you tell us a little about yourself for those of you who don't know you? I know there are a lot of people in this group who do know you though. So
yeah. Oh, thanks. I do like to think that there's lots of people who still don't know me though, which so if you don't know me, my name is Nat and I'm a business coach for high achievers. And the reason why I love to serve high achievers is because that's just a really polite name for calling you a perfectionist. And it's actually your perfectionist tendencies that hold you back, your imposter, your self-doubt. And so I look after those women in biz to get the hell out of their own way. And I love to do that kind of work for those women because I drive from the engine room, which means I teach you what I've learned and what I'm doing, which I think makes a huge difference, that it's not just through from theory and I think it works. It's like, hey, it works, let's do it together. So that's, I suppose it's such a tricky question, that one, isn't it? It's like, how long have you got?
yeah, it's like a whole story in itself.
Exactly.
Like a whole book.
Totally.
So when I posted this event, I talked a little bit about the failures that you've experienced yourself in business and how, like, what have they been? Tell us a little bit about them and what you've kind of taken away from that and what impact it's actually had on your business.
Okay, cool. If I start to go left field segue, bring me back.
Okay.
It's a funny thing. Failures have been a really interesting thing for me in terms of I've always had a real knowing inside that I was here to be a spokesperson for something or someone, or that I was here for a bigger reason on a real spiritual level. And obviously I'm a bit of an extrovert, and so I've always it's easy to talk to people and put myself out there. But for some reason, what was in my way as a young 20, 30-year-old was I didn't believe I deserved success because I thought I had to have a really big rags to riches story. Like I hadn't been to the bottom to then get to the top. Really fucked up way to think. So it's funny when you have to tell that story because I'm like, man, Nat, like, really, really bizarre. But I came from a very privileged background, like I'm a white woman in middle class New Zealand. Like I have a lot of privilege. And so for me, it really held me back from going, well, I'll just let someone else step forward because, it was a deserving thing. Woman in middle class New Zealand. So it held me back a lot. So I feel like I'm a late maturer. And so I didn't really go out into my own business until I was like late 30s, early 40s. And so for a long time, I've run other people's businesses, and it's easy to spend other people's money and make mistakes and get hauled into someone's office. But as soon as you've got to come and do it on your own turf, oh my God,
that's so true.
Totally different story, hey?
Yeah, I just find that, especially being a person that's done quite a lot of marketing for other businesses, it's really, really easy to market other people's business, but a lot harder to market your own.
100%. And you'll know it's because of you don't attach yourself to anything personally. Like, okay, the campaign didn't work. That doesn't mean I'm not very good. But when you
there's
do
no emotion.
Stuff,
there's no emotional connection to it,
exactly.
Which is like the way that's why it's so much easier. And also especially when it comes to spending budget, like it's your own money and your own business, it's like a lot more real.
Totally. And so I'd always run other people's businesses and had always been trusted that way. And at one stage I was running a $7 million business, and that was an epic time of my life. And so when I stepped out and left that corporate job into what was my second business, I'll tell you about the first one in a minute. yeah, I really was very cautious that time around because of that first failure. So the first failure was running my own cafe restaurant with a business partner. And I was a really ego driven and very cocky back then. And I did no due diligence. Didn't even check financials. Like I didn't even know, because I'm a chef by trade. I was all about the food and the staff, and we had to have the best like Parmesan cheese regardless of cost. Like I was a dick. I can look back now and just go, oh my gosh.
I think that's quite common though, eh?
I think so. I think you just, well, like you do at the time, you're doing what you think is the right thing. You're doing what you think. So that was the first failure because we started to not be able to pay rent. We started to, before I came on board to this partnership, my business partner at the time, she'd spent the GST money on some new leather chairs for the cafe. Like just stuff like that. That's not okay. And I'm laughing now because there'd be days in the office where I'd literally be having to take money from the day's takings and just split it out and rob Peter to pay Paul and just, and then take nothing myself. And when we sold the business, I didn't know there was a silent partner. So when we sold, there was no money for anyone because they had to pay the silent partner back.
Oh my God.
I know.
Crazy.
Isn't it?
It's a crazy story, yeah.
But I take full responsibility because, you know, I should have known some of those things. So it was, for me, it was like going and doing a degree in business. I learned so much about staff, about the law, about accounting, and KPIs, and that actually allowed me to become a consultant for the hospitality industry because I knew, you know, literally from doing it wrong, but not what to do. So I could come in and really help people with a real understanding of what not to do, which was pretty exciting. But at the time, you know, it doesn't feel great. You feel like a bit of a loser, you know, that your cafe didn't work.
Yeah. But the reality is though, like you can go to university, but you won't learn that stuff anyway. You just learn theory. So it's like, where are you meant to learn this if it's not like in the trenches, actually making mistakes and screwing up?
I totally agree. And some of the, and what's interesting for me is some of the best chefs I got to work with in the world were all self-taught. Hardly any of them had been through what we call a classic apprenticeship, which is what I went through for 3 years. Some of the top people who are just known so well, they were all self-taught. And what's interesting for me now as a coach who gets coached myself, I look for that in a coach. I think it's amazing if you have qualifications, and I don't dispute qualifications at all. But you know what? I actually want the engine room understanding from them. I went and did this and this worked. But in saying that, and I know we're going to talk about it, there isn't actually a magic wand anyway. But I think it's just someone saying to you that they get it, that they're not going to be like, come on, keep going, where maybe they actually just need to give you a hug, not a butt kick, you know?
Yeah. So when you went into your online business, how did that kind of play out? Because I know you have a few stories from your expectations going into that business and your first webinar and things like that.
So when I was in my corporate job, I used to mastermind with an amazing friend of mine, Jodie Jealous. Some of you might know who she is. Our children are cousins. And so her and I would always like think big and hang out together because all our other mates were like, what? You guys are like another spectrum. But we would like go hang out at her house in her little cabin, and we would talk about taking over the world. And we started a local mastermind with, it was me, her dad. Her dad is amazing. A local chiropractor, he's awesome, and another amazing lady who's a real estate agent. And every week we would meet up and we would sit there and talk about our big goals. And I was like, I need to get out of this corporate job. I want to give business another go. I've been in hospitality. It's what I know. So I started what I call a hospitality blog. Back then it was all what you did, blogs, right? You blogged first, random. Anyway, I started doing that, but I had to work hard, and I actually didn't want to. I was like, this is really hard work. I've got a blog, I've got to create stuff.
Blogging is hard, yeah.
Oh my God. but I'd actually lost the passion for it. And so what I call that my should business. I went to do hospitality because it was what I was known for. So for me, it was the most obvious thing. But what I know now with should businesses is they flop because they require, you know what it's like, a business requires energy, and I just had no energy for it.
Like your vision needs to be so tightly aligned with what you're doing, otherwise it just falls over, I think.
And it becomes cookie cutter. You don't end up having your own voice.
And people can feel that, I think,
totally.
as well, like that energy.
And I think the confidence as well, hey? You can feel people's confidence and conviction on things. So from there, through the help of my mastermind, they're like, come on, Nat, what do you really love? What do you want to do? And in my corporate job, I'd been helping, part of my role was helping graduates go into the workplace. And so from there, I was like, man, there must be women out there who want to leave their jobs or at home, and they want to, get into different careers. And so I launched Catapult Your Career. And I flogged that dead horse for a really long time.
Yeah, I can't remember that. I was trying to remember the other day what your business was before you had to change it.
Yeah,
I remember it was Catapult Your Business, wasn't it?
So it went Catapult Your Career, then Catapult Your Business. And in that time, so Catapult Your Career and Catapult Your Business, I actually straddled both because I didn't want to let either one go. So Catapult Your Career didn't work because I didn't. Again, we talk about the journey you've got to go on, and I didn't want to put the time in. Business takes a lot of time, and because it wasn't working quickly enough, I was like, there's something wrong with me, there's something wrong with my programs, and I went and saw a coach, and she really helped me understand the viability of business. And look, Catapult Your Career, had sales, like it didn't do too bad. But I wasn't there to piss around and be too bad, because I had to in my marriage, I have to pay the bills. Like there's no ifs or buts. I have to go and make money, and it wasn't working. And I'd sit there on webinars and just no one would show up. And at that time, my office was in the lounge, and my husband would be like, "You weren't talking to anyone." It was just, and I was like, "Oh, I was talking to you, babe." Like, it's actually just what you've got to do, though. You have to have webinars and these now and then. You just turn up and have a chat
with yourself.
Yeah. And you'll be like, and I've got this question from Louise from Wisconsin, and you don't. Like, people make up Q&As, people make them up.
Yeah, they do 100%.
They totally make them up. So that didn't go so well, Catapult Your Career. There's a lot of money going into it investment wise, which I look back in hindsight and I go, man, Nat, you had to be the most clever person. Do you think you could have done this in a better way? For sure. But I think this is just the way I learn. I've got to learn from falling down and getting back up. But what I've learned to do is just not fall down so much or get back up quicker.
Yeah, I reckon that's a massive business skill or skill in life, really, is being able to have bad stuff happen, like failing, and then actually not let it totally ruin you.
I think it's that resilience, isn't it? To understand that, for some reason, because I was surrounded by already successful people in an online business world, I thought I could honestly instantly go in and plug in specific online strategies, and I would just be like, hey, and rolling in money. I honestly believed that, because I was like, why not? Why wouldn't happen? Why would people not want to come? Why would, so when it didn't happen, it was a really big eye-opener for me.
Yeah, and I think the online business owners that are doing extremely well make it look easy, but there's so much discipline and work that goes on behind the scenes that they don't show. Like, they're just showing the dream.
Yes, totally agree.
You can go into that with such unrealistic expectations and I'm just going to sit here and work like 2 or 3 hours a day, and I'm just going to be like making 6 figures ASAP.
I know, and the reality is there's a lot of this business stuff that's relentless. But you can just get so like, it's that relentlessness stuff, but it's part of the discipline of doing it. If it was easy, then everyone would be leaving their jobs and coming and giving business a go. And I think I haven't done it on a shoestring. I have invested money in my business. Not saying that you can't, but doing it without help is really, really, really hard. And getting help from coaches, and I'm a real fan of people learning to do their own thing. So learn how to do Facebook, learn how to do adverts. Like there's a lot of power in you understanding it and then being able to delegate it back out when you can. But I'm here where I am today because I've paid to play. I pay money for advertising. It's not because I'm better than anyone. It's just because I've paid for advertising. That's probably all it is.
Yeah, and it's okay to bootstrap at the start, but I think it's important to get out of that mindset at a certain point when you're getting busy that you're better off doing what you're good at.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And what it's like. It's just the mindset and the confidence to go and do it.
Exactly. So in terms of like, a lot of people experience resistance in terms of they know all the things they should be doing, but they're resisting.
Yeah.
You must see that a lot with the women that you work with.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I love to do, first of all, is normalize it and say it would be weird if you didn't have resistance. And so kind of straight away, it makes them feel like, well, you're actually meant to be feeling this. If you weren't feeling any resistance and everything was easy, A, your goal's not big enough, and B, there's something wrong with it. No, but, you have to have a mixture of joy and fear, because resistance just comes from the gap you've created from where you're at and where you want to go to. And what happens is our brains are so programmed to stay in comfort and do things we know, that as soon as you go into the unknown, because that's what business is there's a lot of unknowns, your ego and your brain's like, hey Nat, come back, it's scary out there, we're going to do everything we can, we're going to make you think, oh, I don't know how to do this, I'm going to go make a cup of tea instead. Well, I'm not really that good enough, and here's some evidence, so I'm not going to go and do it, and so that's resistance. And we can really get really good at justifying our resistance. Like, your brain will go and find lots and lots of things to go, yeah, this is why you shouldn't do this, and wait until the color on your website's perfect before releasing everything. We can make up stories in our head. The resistance is normal.
Another one that I see a lot is not having like a landing page. So you can't sell something.
Yeah.
But really,
it's a smoke screen.
Yeah, I mean, you can do anything you want. There's no rules.
Exactly, and that's what I love about you. Like, even though you some of your work, especially around the Facebook advertising, there are particular rules you do have to stick to. But what I like about your stuff too, though, is like, what do you love to do? Like, you don't have to do all of the rules. You don't have to have all the bells and whistles to make your business work.
Well, it's coming back to that vision. You've got to have passion behind what you're doing. And if you're just like copying a cookie cutter formula, most of those don't work for most people, really.
No, and it's really interesting though, isn't it? Like, I think it's really about confidence. So I think that confidence can be learned, and it's a skill. So while I may seemingly be confident, I haven't always been this way. It's actually just becomes a choice. And so I just think to myself, well, if I've got friends because your family has to love you, right? So that kind of take them with a grain of salt because they have to. But like, if you've got friends and people want to hang out with you, it's because they love who you inherently are, what you say, how you are, and you be. And as soon as you go and change who you are in your business, you suddenly go, oh, am I? What am I doing again? I don't back myself. Well, you actually need conviction and confidence to selling your business. And if you have those two things, you can take away the landing page and the website, and you'll actually still be able to grow your business. Okay, it'll be a little bit harder, but you and I remember back in the day, there was no Facebook.
Yeah, I don't think I was in business then, though.
Well, when I was in that corporate job, we were in education. So when Facebook first came out, my boss let us trailblaze and have a play with it. It was so good when it first came out. It was really exciting.
And those first people that jumped on Facebook way back then when they introduced business pages, they're the ones with the huge followings.
Yes.
And then, when you start a new business, maybe in the last few years, maybe you're looking at some of those bigger people, comparing yourself.
Yeah.
But really, Facebook was like the dream back then.
It's totally right. Yeah, it's a really interesting point, because people will be like, oh, well, I think it's when people look at, like, they might try to replicate something that a community that's already around, and they think, oh well, I want to go and do that. Yeah, I think. Oh, you and I were talking about TikTok before. Hey, we're about like, oh man, everyone's now like, go and do a TikTok, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's like you've got to limit, or be realistic about what you can actually pull off well.
Oh, totally. You can't go on all the things.
Because if you're just everywhere, but you're just doing like a half-assed job of it everywhere, then it's not really going to be that effective.
Exactly. And I was just sitting here reflecting actually on some of those failures. One of the other ones that I know that you were quite interested in was when I was Catapult Your Business. So Catapult Your Career was dying. And I was being shoulder tapped by businesswomen saying, hey, Nat, you've come out so strong. How are you doing it? And of course I was like, I can't help you because my business isn't working. Therefore, integrity wise for me, I'm like, why would I do that? Mm-hmm. But someone actually helped me realize that as long as I wasn't teaching what I didn't know was okay. So as long as you're the relevant expert, and if I taught things that worked and that I knew that worked, and that was cool. So I straddled Catapult Your Career and Catapult Your Business until I felt confident enough to let this one go. And then that's where my business literally did a catapult and went from 30K to 100 and kept climbing. And then that's when I was hit with the trademark infringement one January. And I literally, I remember writing this but in my book, I literally ran to the toilet and vomited, because for me, I have such integrity, and because I didn't know that someone else says that was their name, I felt so out of alignment that I'd been called out. I felt so much shame that I kind of like had to just purge it all out. It was a terrible experience, but coming through the other side, I now have come out as myself. So the irony is not lost, like you hide behind a business name at times.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
Totally meant to be, but it was another bloody costly mistake.
Yeah, I'm about to change over my brand name this month too.
Exciting. Are we allowed to know what it is, or is it
It's just my name.
Oh, yeah, sweet.
So I'm doing the same.
Yeah, go you.
Yeah, it's quite funny though. I think like you can have a connection to a business name, but sometimes that connection might not stay that strong.
Yes.
Whereas you're always going to be yourself.
Exactly. What a cool lesson to have,
Yeah, and that's like as well, like as you go on in business, there's still going to be failures, and just because you get to where you want to go within a year or two or whatever, and then you've got this great business, doesn't mean that you still don't experience screwing up and ups and downs.
I'm lucky enough to coach some pretty high level women, and a lot of the things we talk about, it's not usually too much strategy, because they're the ones who know the strategy. No matter what level you're at, doubt, fear, procrastination, not being indecisive, being in their own way, it doesn't actually change. What gets better is your awareness of when you're in it.
Yeah.
And being able to go, hang on, I'm talking a lot of BS right now. I need to shift through it. And recognizing, so for example, with me writing this book, oh my God, the amount of discomfort and like mindset, self-talk has come out in the last couple of weeks. It's been massive, because it's comfort zone stuff, like who am I to do this book, blah, blah, blah. But because I know what's going on, I can move through it and not let it knock me off my perch or make silly decisions based on just a comfort zone thing.
Yeah, totally. And I think with like things like writing a book and stuff like that, like you're called to do it. Like you said at the start, how you just had this idea that you were here to do something bigger or whatever. Like it's the same with writing a book, but then what's holding people back from actually doing that is a lot of imposter syndrome. Like who would read a book? Like who cares about my story? That kind of thing. Like you must see that quite a lot too in your work.
It's judgment. It's when people scroll and compare themselves and judge themselves, and what we know through judgment is that judgment either makes you smaller or bigger, because and you actually end up being you're the biggest judger of yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can judge someone and go, ha, look at them, to make yourself feel bigger, or go, oh man, look at them, make yourself feel smaller. And so judgment is a clusterfuck. Like, if there's one thing you get out of listening today, is really know when you're in judgment and get out of dodge, because judgment will just thrives on you. Thrives, and it will just, there'll be doubt, there'll be comparison, like it just leads into all the other things. And it's really hard then to convince yourself that you're not those things. You've got to go back to looking at evidence and all that cliche stuff, but yeah, judgment is a really big thing. Spend a lot of time talking to clients about judgment.
Yeah, and a lot of it's driven by ego, I feel like.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So at the start you said that you consider yourself an extrovert. Do you feel like that's been an advantage in marketing yourself? Because you have kind of like a larger than life personality online,
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's been an advantage, or do you feel like how can introverts kind of use their kind of way of being to show up?
Wow. So that's a really bloody good question. So I think that the world needs all of us. So my extrovert, who I inherently am, attracts some people and freaking drives and detests other people away. So I repel a lot of people. So if I wasn't myself, if I wasn't myself, I'd attract the wrong people. And so being an introvert doesn't mean you're less confident or you have less conviction and you can't put yourself out there. It's again the belief that your introverted energy, I mean, introverts are so grounding and they seem so wise, like we need your energy. It's actually just inherently being yourself. So I don't know if it may be an advantage, but I think that would be if someone looking at that, if they're in judgment for themselves, that they're not good enough. And I'm still, introverts can use audio. There's so many ways for them to get out there. But, of course, I get to be seen more and heard more because I am putting myself out there. But you know what? There's still some days where I just sit there and just go, what am I doing? What should I send? Like, I can get caught up myself all the time. Like, it's a constant, like mindset stuff is like soap. You just got to constantly just be washing yourself. That's weird. You get it though.
That's where having a really solid plan is so useful, because I get that, like, muddled. You're like, oh my God, like, what am I going to write about?
Yeah. Who am I?
Yeah. Like, you actually forget. So if you've got a plan, you can go back to it.
Plans are so good. Plans are amazing. So if you are helicopter brain or you have lots of clients, you can go back to your plan and go, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm working on this week. Yeah, I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't plan as much as I did. But I don't over plan. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not so planned that it's inflexible, but I'm planned enough that it keeps me nice and anchored.
Yeah, I love this idea. I did a live on it a while ago. It's like about having high intention but low attachment to the outcomes. So your plan can change.
Yes.
But you need that focus and attention, like the plan and executing the plan.
Yeah.
But you've got to be ready to pivot as well. Totally.
And there's this, I don't know if you may have heard of this. There's a story about a dog and a bone. Literally, there's a dog and a bone, and there's a fence separating the dog and a bone. And the dog's just going nuts, barking, running up and down the fence line, really loud, scratching at the dirt. Because the bone's like right there, like getting so fed up. This dog's getting tired and aggressive. And if it had just looked further down the fence line, it would see an open gate. We could walk through that gate and go and get the bone. And I think that's where we can be inflexible and rigid to, this is how I'm doing it, this is how it's meant to be, or if it's not what you want to be doing, but you're being told this isn't the only way to do it, you can get tired. So I think it's the same thing, isn't it? Go and find your own way through, or go find the gate.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's from the Winner's Bible, that story.
Okay.
The author's name's gone out of my head, which is not great, but I'm pretty sure he's in New Zealand. I don't think he's New Zealander. See, don't listen to me. But the Winner's Bible is really cool. Got some amazing stories in there.
I haven't heard of that book.
Yeah, it's good.
I have to check it out.
You'll like it. The stories are cool.
Totally, because we can make things so much harder on ourselves.
I know.
And I feel like that's with the imposter syndrome as well. Like, I have experienced that because everyone has. And sometimes you're just like, who cares? Just get on with it. And then once you make that decision in your brain, you can just move on.
Do you think though too, like with the, that the blind spot of the perfectionist is they think that because if it came too easy, they have to go and make it harder. So so I can't possibly have made money that easy. Oh, I'll go back and do the work for them and do extra. You get caught up with actually if the first time you did it was enough, so it's okay for you to make money easily.
I totally do that. You know me. You know my brain.
It's so interesting. Hey, if you just backed yourself the first time, you would just have saved yourself the angst. But the paradox of that, though, is though that could be seemingly a weakness, there's a strength that it gives you. That's part of who you are. So it's just embracing all of that shit. And Kate and Henry O'Brien, they were one of my first personal development mentors. Like, we're talking like 5 years ago, and they were the first people to help me just question everything. So, question and be okay with the dark sides of yourself, like the jealousy, the bad days. Like, we're all human beings and we all have those spectrums,
Yeah, I just did Bridge, the workshop Bridge last year with Alexi Panos and Preston Smiles, which is all personal development. And that was just mind-blowing about getting to understand the different masks that you wear and like really figuring out where your edge is and then learning how to push up against that edge rather than running away from it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Did you find your edge?
Oh, hundreds of them.
Like, I'm like this, like, double-edged sword, 10-edged sword.
Yeah, well, I'm an introvert and I'm doing these interviews. So, like, I'm not a super introverted person, but I'm probably like more of an extroverted introvert. But, it's not that easy for me to put myself out there, but whatever. Yeah, I have to do it.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if Louise didn't put herself out there, we wouldn't know you, and that would suck.
Yeah, I mean, there's people out there that want to hear from everyone.
Totally, 100%.
Yeah.
And I remember Jodie telling me, because I was like, oh, no one's going to buy my stuff. And she's like, dude, Nat, there's a lady out there who makes parrot clothing, and she makes millions of dollars. Like, people buy clothes for their parrots. This lady's making money. So I just go and I'm like, no one will buy my stuff. I just instantly think of the parrot lady. I'm like, yes, they will. If someone's going to buy a vest for their parrot, then damn, someone's going to buy your stuff.
And that's where it's great to have a mastermind or a support network around you. Like, you don't necessarily have to pay to be in something. Like, me and 3 other female business owners have a mastermind where it's like not super strict, it's not facilitated properly, but we just meet up once a month and help each other.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's amazing. Like, you don't have to pay for a mastermind. You can, and in most cases you'll step up big time in that situation, but you can find people around to support you and kind of egg you on. Yeah.
And I think you're right. It's that being cheered on and someone who believes in yourself more than you do, because often it's those breakthroughs where someone just believes they can, so they go and take the actions to do that.
Yeah, totally. So the other thing that you want to talk about is how the magic sales funnel doesn't exist.
If you could also talk on this too, because you must get people who are like, okay, so if you could create this and then talk to this and then put some money down this, it will shoot out the other side $1 million.
Yeah. Expectations.
Is, and I think, there's definitely some people who crack funnels, and you can crack funnels. You just need a lot of money to chuck down the funnel often, and you really need to know a lot of metrics about the moving parts of funnels and conversions. And then when you crack that, all of a sudden a new tactic will come along, a new strategy, and it's something else to crack. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I first started out, I honestly thought that I would just create a 4-part video series, and my phone would be ringing off the hook, and that just was not. That didn't happen, by the way.
Did you do the video series though?
Yep.
Yeah.
And on my work with me page, I had a video going, book a strategy session with me. It's application only. So I was literally put myself into prison. I made myself so untouchable that no one could actually have a bloody conversation with me. And that's when I learned that sales is just a conversation, and sales actually happen. A lot of them happen off your sales funnel, and even not even on your website, but actually directly in front of people, or on Messenger, or other ways, on the phone. Like, I love selling and having conversations with people on the phone.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because I feel there's this perception out there that you bang up a sales funnel and you'll be sweet and it'll just run and you'll make money off the other end of it. But the reality is the amount of testing that you have to be doing on it.
Yeah.
Your message and your copy and all of that stuff is so important. Like, there's probably like 0.1% of funnels that work straight out of the bat.
Exactly. And and if you're someone who, and your business has to make money, that real lack and that pull of, oh, I'm not good enough, it's not making enough money, that's really a hard place to be when you're going to go test funnels and fling, more money back through them.
Yeah, because just from a realistic expectation side of things, like, you should be spending like $1,000 on a funnel before you figure out if it's successful or not.
Exactly. And that's such good figures. And even like 100 people through a lead page before you make any indication of what other changes to come up. And some people,
minimum, yeah,
and some people, like, that costs money to get 100 people on a lead magnet. But there's definitely other ways in which you can do business. But I think, if we can always be the voices of reason, or I think this realism and saying to people it can happen, it does happen, but you're just going to have to spend some money, and it's going to take a lot longer than you think. You must hear that all the time, that, why hasn't it happened yet? It's been 3 months. Why has it not happened?
Yeah, well, I actually find that people's expectations, like when I was providing services as my main, part of my business.
Yeah.
Like, setting the correct expectations was actually the biggest challenge. And even if you set them really clearly, there'd always be that little hope. I think the problem is that you go scrolling on Facebook and you're like, see all these ads like, here's my secret formula, just copy this and you'll be making like 6 figures in 10 days.
Honestly, people are getting so good at marketing that there's a lot of FOMO, and I've got to stop myself. I'm going, oh, there's no magic wand. Remember, Nat, there's no magic wand. There is literally showing up and doing the work.
Well, it's actually gotten to the point where Facebook are starting to disapprove ads that have things like make money online 6 or 7 figures. Like, I've had clients who have just had, like I had one client who's had something about experience scaling 6 and 7 figure businesses, not even in the ad, on her landing page.
Whoa.
Facebook disapproved it, and we had, as soon as we took it off the landing page, straight through. So Facebook is starting to try and protect the users of Facebook from these claims. Yeah. But obviously there's still a lot of ads kind of sneaking through the system.
Well, Facebook just shut my whole ads down, and they're still being in review 4 weeks later. No one will tell me what's going on.
What, your whole account?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just disapproved. Can't even. No one else can even business manage it. And
yeah, that's happening a lot.
I know. I'm like, but not good timing for me. But then I'm like, you can't put all your eggs in one basket, right? What else can you do? You get it back out there. Of course, put Facebook platform away. I mean, that would change my business up. But because I still network, because there are other platforms that I'm on, and I have an email database, that's, that is good foundational business as well.
Yeah, and that is something that I always try to talk to people about, is that you can't rely on one thing. And some of those old, like, an email list is kind of considered quite old school now, but it's still just as valuable as it's ever been.
I agree. And you and I were talking before, like, things are moving, like everyone's like groups now and Messenger, like, sell by chat, and it's just what, and then it takes, I suppose it's just like fashion, isn't it? Things come back around, and then trying to keep up, can be really overwhelming. Even for someone like me, who I consider myself a little bit savvy in that area, I'm just like, whoa, like, you know, you got to feel like you've got to keep amping up new levels. And so it's just not getting bogged down with that, and just keep going back to, what do my clients need? Where are they? You know, where are these prospective clients? And so for me, it's really important that I don't attract the clients who want that magic wand. Like, I'm also not going to be, I'm not an enabler. I'm not going to collude with and go, oh, it's okay, you didn't do that this week, and still expect a result. I'm just going to be like, well, what did you think was going to happen? You know? Exactly.
So, what would you say to someone? Yeah, this has been awesome to chat to you. Honestly, I think we could talk all day.
Like, blah, blah, blah. Oh, there's people watching.
Yeah, I know. Kind of forget that. What would you say to someone who right now were failing? They felt like they were failing more than they were succeeding. I'm getting a bit down about it.
Yeah, I think that you'd need to really question your mindset. So you're always in choice, and the law of polarity tells us that if you're experiencing failure, then you have had a taste of success before, and you're comparing where you're at with those things. And so I'd be like, let's look for the evidence of where you are succeeding. And what can happen is, as soon as we change your focus, you'll start to see another point of view. And then it would actually be going to a masculine energy and going, what are the numbers? Like, metrically, where are you at? What isn't working? Are you making enough offers? You know, what's your conversion rates like? So you can do two things. You can look at it on both of those levels. That's what I would do. I'd go get third party, someone to look at that for you, because otherwise you can convince yourself and go find evidence of the failure. Like, I could do that right now in my business and go, it's actually not working. But it's a choice. Like, is it succeeding or is it failing? So go and find out for sure, not a story-based failure.
Yeah, and it's so important, like we said, to have the support network. And like you said, you know, you're a coach and you've got your own coach. I think having a coach is so vital. Like, I found for me, that can be the biggest difference. Sometimes, just to keep you going and focused and not down that rabbit hole of comparison and all of that stuff.
Yeah, and also, you know, I'm a huge fan of also having some time away from coaching too, to actually be able to go implement all the things, because a lot of the time you do know what you're meant to be doing. You just need to go away and do it. So there's a time and need for both of those things, I think. Yeah. And sometimes you have a coach that's more strategy based, and you have coaches who are more you know, it might be like personal development side. And sometimes it's actually you just have to back yourself, get some focus, get some discipline, and put the work in.
Yeah, because I've just done like 3 months of personal development coaching, like life coaching.
Oh, amazing.
And honestly, I think it's been the best thing we've ever done for my business.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So it doesn't always have to be on the problem that you think is the problem.
Well, we both know it's never that problem that you think it is. It's always like, damn it, some old story way back when.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got a book coming out soon, is that right?
Yes.
So where can people find out about that? Do you have a pre-sale list or anything like that?
Yeah, so if someone wants to go on the pre-sale list, email me and I'll chuck you on it, because it's going to be open for everyone from the 17th of March, and the pre-sales I'm going to let them know the 2 days before to jump in. Otherwise, you can wait till the 17th of March and jump over to my website. Well, it'll be everywhere, because I'm just going to be going on and on about it. So it'll be on my Facebook and my website. Yeah, I'm really excited, and because when Marie Forleo put out her book, she did this really cool build up to the cover page, and so I'm going to do something similar, take you all through the reiterations, and then be like, boom, here's the actual one, the book reveal, which I think would be pretty cool.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So otherwise, just message me now to get on the wait list. Otherwise, just 17th of March, head to my website.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much, Natalie. This was such a fun chat.
Yay. I hope all the listeners we loved it, but I hope all the listeners no, just joke. Who cares about you? We loved it.
Yeah, hopefully it was as fun for you guys as it was for us.
Yeah, and I'm happy to come and answer any questions that people might have below.
Yeah, I think you're already in the group, so
yeah,
just tag Natalie if you've got any questions for her, everyone. And thanks so much for tuning in today.
Yay, thanks for having me.
Cool, thanks for coming.
No worries.
See you guys.